The Fox City SCORE chapter and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biz Talk, a chance for you to hear from entrepreneurs and professionals as they share their experiences from starting to sustaining growth. Learn the skills needed for your business to be successful. If you missed anything, you can catch the Biz Talk podcast at biztalkwithscore.com. And now from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biz Talk on WHBY.
Good morning and welcome to Biz Talk. I'm your host, Terry Finch. And with me this week as co-host is Jeff King. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Terry. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. For listeners, Jeff coordinates a lot of the outreach to communities in surrounding areas for us. So we've got him on today because we have a guest from one of those surrounding areas. And our guest is Mandy Kimes, the Executive Director of the Ripon Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Mandy.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
We're glad you joined us. Mandy, before we get started with Chamber, tell us about yourself and your background and what led to you getting this role.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. I would say there aren't many people like me in the world, so you guys should feel really special. No, so I'm from the Chicago area originally, and when I first moved up to this, rural area in Wisconsin, I thought there's no way this is going to be where I live. It's just not. It's not a lot of fun. There's not a lot to do. And so, what brought me up originally was a camp right on the lake. I really love camp, and it really changed my life and gave me a lot of great leadership opportunities. I eventually worked for that camp year round as their first year round program director. And so I remember I moved up. It was like the middle of a blizzard and I got snowed in at the camp and I was like, what did I just do? Why am I here? And so I did camp work for a couple of years, and then I actually worked with college students for 9 years. I worked for a nonprofit campus ministry at Ripon College, and so I had the chance to mentor and help develop students to be the best versions of themselves. But during all that time, it was 9 years doing that role, I really got ingrained in the Ripon community. It's kind of difficult. If you don't want to get involved in Ripon, you really have to fight hard to not get into it because it's an amazing community. It's the right size where you can really get kind of woven into the different aspects of it. That I got to know a lot of the business owners, and I just started to really see how beautiful small town life can be, which was not what I expected. But Ripon has had a lot of changes in just the last even 10 years. And so I feel the energy here. I see all the exciting projects. And when the position for the chamber opened up, I thought, why don't I just do something crazy? And really it's an opportunity for me to get engaged in all different areas of the city that I live in, just learn new things that really my last job didn't give me the opportunity to do. And I feel like I just have a lot of new experiences. It's almost been 2 years now. And so I've lived in Ripon for 13 years, but I've been at the chamber for 2 years.
Okay. And tell us about the Ripon Chamber of Commerce. What does it do?
Yeah, people don't really know. They're like, what is a chamber? And, when I first heard about a chamber, all I could think of was the Chamber of Secrets from Harry Potter. And so I really had no clue. And, back in the day, a chamber of commerce was kind of the entity that would make your business credible. It was where if you were part of the chamber, then you were a very legitimate business. You were worth doing business with. It provided kind of like a yellow pages for businesses. It was, kind of those suit and tie networking events. And really business has changed so much, that chambers no longer look the way they used to. I like to say that our chamber is not your grandfather's chamber, even though your grandfather is totally welcome to be part of it. So our job is to really support the business community, and we do that in a lot of different ways. I tell people, I'm an analogy person, so I tell people we're like those people when you go to the gym. We're right there with you. We're already lifting those heavy weights, but we'll also help you learn how to lift those weights. And so we're always working for the good of our community. We're always helping develop the community, but we want to teach every business that's a member of the chamber how to use new tools and new technology to enhance and improve their business. We also are always preparing for new business. So we're a lot like farmers, where we're pulling out the weeds, or we're planting new growth and checking the soil. We want our economic health to be really good, whether that business wants to expand or a new business wants to come in. And so then I say we're also like the traffic controller. So we get a lot of calls here. We're like a communication hub. So if you want to know who to talk to, what's going on, we are always our project you're working on. And then finally, one of my favorites is that we're really the cheerleaders of Ripon. We are all in for Ripon. And so we're going to help every business member succeed, every community member, and then all those who come to visit, because we really see all of that providing a good quality of life here in Ripon.
Okay. So
that's a good long answer, but
you covered a lot. That was really good. So
I did.
More specifically, who are the members and who joins?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so we welcome any type of business. You could be a nonprofit. You could be a church. You could be a small, less than 10 employees. You could be one of our large manufacturers here in Ripon. We even have members that aren't in the Ripon area. So if you just know that you want to, help Ripon be a strong community, but you also want people in this general area to know that you exist, you want them to see about your events, you want to be connected to the business community there, then they are members of the chamber. And so we're always getting new members. We're always working to improve the benefits of being a member. And so a lot of times people think like, well, is it just like a gym membership where if I don't go, I don't really get the benefits? Is it like I have to be really willing to put in the time? And the truth is you can be whatever type of member you want. Some of our members are very engaged. They come to every workshop. They come to every business after 5 event, but others are busy and they don't come to a lot of events, but they know that we are constantly working in the background to strengthen the economic vitality of our city. And so they just want us to keep doing our job, whether it's putting on community events or tracking different bills that are going to legislation that might impact business. Like they want us to be constantly there in the background in improving the business environment here in Ripon. And so we have our largest employers to our smallest employers. We have brand new businesses and ones that have been here since the early 1900s. It really is a broad spectrum of businesses that are part of the chamber.
And what support or what people do you have? How many people do you have supporting the chamber, either on staff or volunteer and help the chamber?
So, and that looks different at every chamber. Every chamber comes in different shapes and sizes, and some of them are regional. Some of them are just one community like we are here in Ripon. And so you'll find staff teams in larger cities of 25 people, and for Fond du Lac City, there's like a dozen staff members. And so here I call it a one Mandy show. I do have a part-time assistant. She's now working 30 hours a week for me, and she is never done working. There's always things on her to-do list. But, I also work with a board of directors. So our board represents many different sectors of our community, whether it's the college, our larger employers, our healthcare, just every area you can imagine sit on this board. And so they are really invested in the vitality of Ripon, and they help make important decisions when it comes to the chamber. And so I'm very thankful for our board members, and I definitely couldn't do it without them.
And do they provide volunteers, or do you get other volunteers from the community as well to help out?
Most of our board members, if they can volunteer, they do. We definitely have had them, serving beverages or putting up signs at events. But we also are constantly recruiting volunteers from our community. And honestly, that's something that with COVID took a huge nosedive. Our events were kind of at a standstill. Events weren't happening during COVID. And so the volunteer teams really disappeared. And so one of the things I've been doing since I started is really telling the story of Ripon and helping inspire people to to get back involved in serving in their community. And so there's a lot of different ways, and I have committees going for events all the time. And I really do enjoy seeing someone who's always wanted to help but hasn't known how, and helping them see how even just the smallest thing can make a big difference to a one staff chamber trying to do a lot of things all at the same time.
And in the later segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about working with other chambers and some of the specific things you do as a chamber. But when you look at the role of the chamber in Ripon, is it something where you're working hand in hand with the city government? Are you meeting with them regularly and getting them involved in things as well?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the largest misconceptions about the chamber that we get often, is that, aren't you just city employees? Aren't you run by the city? And so the truth is we're not. We are our own separate organization. But we have a twofold mission. And so some chambers are not the tourism entity for their community, but we are. And so our city has a room tax that every person that stays in a hotel pays. And they collect that tax money from our visitors, and they allocate a percentage of it to us as the chamber. And so our job with those dollars are to promote and advertise Ripon and really draw people in from farther away. And so we definitely are working with the city. We also have a downtown Main Street program here, and so their focus is a downtown, and we have an incredible downtown here, which I'd love to tell you more about. But yeah, we do work very closely with the city, even though we have different, people we report to. We are all on the same team. I just was speaking with our city administrator yesterday. We are always in the loop. The city and the chamber have just started a business outreach program, and we just go to the different businesses in Ripon and find out what their challenges are, what things are going well, and what ways we can support them. Because our job, along with the city, is to have our pulse on every business and know, what are they facing? What are they struggling with? We don't want, Smuckers is an example. We had Smuckers in our community for a really long time, and all of a sudden they were moving out. And we were like, wait, when did that happen? And so we want to be in touch with these people so that if there are things we can do, if there are ways we can help, we're right there. They know the face, they know the name, they know what number to dial. And so, yes, we definitely do work with the city. But again, I'm not a city employee, so don't call me about the potholes. I don't like them either.
So as a one Mandy organization, your job is to link and connect people.
Yes, I tell people I'm a connector all the time for resources, for just information, whether you're a business member or you're walking in and you just got to Ripon and you want to spend the day here. So every day is different. We've gotten some really random phone calls. That's something that if you ever ask a chamber, what's the weirdest phone call you've ever had? They will have a funny answer for you. But we also are here to deal with large issues. So right now, our entire state, and our county and also our city, we're experiencing a huge issue with housing. And there's a lot of problems that is causing, whether it's connected to our workforce. Even our homeless population has been increasing here in Ripon. And so sometimes we serve as the conveners of the right people around the table. So we host a roundtable discussion around, for instance, the issue of housing and homelessness. And we say, well, what's already happening? What gaps are there? What can happen next? And so, that's some of my favorite parts about chamber work, is that we're here to respond to the pressing issues, because really it affects everything. It affects our businesses. It affects our tourism. And so we can't, turn a deaf ear when there are real problems happening as well.
Okay, so we're at the perfect spot for our first break. When we come back from the break, we're going to have Mandy tell us all about Ripon, and you can tell she's excited about the place, so she'll have a lot of good things to say. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score and WHBY, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Next, Biz Talk with Score. We're glad you joined us today. Our guest this morning is Mandy Kimes, the Executive Director of Ripon Chamber of Commerce. Before we continue our conversation with Mandy, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about SCORE Fox Cities. SCORE Fox Cities serves an 8-county region with about 35 volunteers. These volunteers offer entrepreneurs no cost and confidential mentoring. Each volunteer is an expert in their field. Areas of expertise include IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, HR, retail, business best practices, and much more. So how do you register for a no-cost and confidential mentoring session or learn more about SCORE Fox Cities? Visit www.score.org/Fox Cities. You can learn about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting your business or growing your business. Then simply complete the online form and submit it to SCORE. Within a few days, a SCORE volunteer will contact you to set up a meeting. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts who can offer assistance in many different areas. To get started, visit our website at www.score.org/Fox Cities. If you'd like to support small businesses, SCORE Fox Cities is always looking for new volunteers to help. If you have experience you would like to share with others, we'd love to talk to you. We welcome volunteers with experience in all aspects of business. Go to www.score.org/Fox Cities, click on the volunteer button, fill out the very short application, and submit it. And then someone will get back to you and explain more. Now back to Mandy. Mandy, tell us a little bit more about Ripon.
Oh, yeah, I could tell you all kinds of things. I often tell people that I was the unofficial tour guide for Ripon before it actually became my job. So if anyone was just visiting me or even just a stranger on the street, I was already promoting and teaching about the cool aspects and history of Ripon before anyone ever told me I was allowed to. So I'm pretty happy that I get to do it now all the time. And yeah, so Ripon's really unique. I know every community has its history that sets it apart, but I would say Ripon has some history that sets it apart globally in the entire world. And so we were started as a community as and there was a bunch of people from New York who came to have a communal living experiment, and they were here. They all were trying to live together and share all their resources. And it was known as the Ceresco Commune. And it didn't last very long. A lot of people decided it was really messy and complicated to try to live together in the same house, but they eventually were absorbed into the city of Ripon, and that became an incorporated city. But there was a schoolhouse built in our community. It was the place where people gathered for important meetings and events. And so when there was a law being passed that would allow slavery to expand into the Midwest territories, the Kansas-Nebraska Act, there were a bunch of people who said, this is not okay. We do not want slavery to continue and expand into these new territories. And so we are going to protest and even form a new political party to stop this from happening. And a bunch of people gathered on March 20th, 1854. It was just 170 years ago last week. And they came together. They all represented different political parties. Some of them were Whigs, Free Soilers, Democrats. They didn't have everything that they agreed on, but they agreed on the important thing, that it was time to take a stand up for what they believed in. And so it was there at that meeting that they decided to create a new party called the Republicans. And so they elected their first committee there. And the word spread quickly. They were connected to a newspaper editor, Horace Greeley, for the New York Tribune, I can't even remember the name of the newspaper, but it spread quickly. They say the spark was lit, and soon enough, there were meetings happening at the state level in Jackson, Michigan, and then the first national conference meeting was held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so we're really proud of the fact that such a historic moment happened here in Ripon. It's definitely been a sometimes controversial topic for people, but in reality, the history is so cool because these brave people were willing to stand up for what they believed in, and they changed the world. And so we really think that's a cool thing that sets us apart. We have some other things. We have the first Marcus Theater was started here. And so we still have that movie theater here today. And it only shows one movie at a time. So you don't have any choices to make, but it's a really fun, opportunity to go there. We have a college here, which is really unique. It was started right when the whole city was begun. And that has been a constant part of our identity and our heritage. Some famous people even went there. Spencer Tracy and Harrison Ford Ford, but they didn't graduate. So there's a whole story there. But Harrison Ford failed out of a class and got mad and didn't finish his time at Ripon College. But we're so happy to have Ripon College. Recently, they just they have their first woman president of the college, and they've built a new stadium. They have an amazing fitness center, and so their programs for physical science are growing and growing. And it's kind of known as a political science college, private liberal arts school, but honestly, the programs they're offering, the majors they can now offer are just growing more and more. So it is a huge area of economic growth for us here in Ripon. We're home to Alliance Laundry Systems, which is the leading manufacturer of like industrial washers and dryers, and it started here long time ago. We even have an international brand called Patina V here. So it's something that literally sells their designs to Anthropologie and Disney, and they have only one flagship store, and it's right here in Ripon. And so I really love that we have such a mix of small and large and historic and brand new. We have businesses that are always starting, and it's just, there's a lot of great things happening in Ripon. We we're just proud of it, and we really see a lot of potential in the next few years.
And one thing that stands out, at least when I've been in Ripon too, is that the area is a tourist area, but there's definitely a manufacturing aspect to it. But you do also have a tourism element to downtown Ripon itself too.
Definitely. We have people who are coming here and they want to be by the lake. We kind of think of ourselves as the greater Green Lake region. And so they're here for the lake, but they really want to also go shopping and eat at different places. We're home to our own winery, Vines and Rushes. We have our own microbrewery, Knuth's Brewing Company, that they actually just moved into a new building, and it's this completely renovated, restored, historic building, and it's ginormous. It can host weddings of like up to 300 people up there, and it's going to be an incredible area for really special weddings right here in our downtown. And so I really love that our community doesn't shut down like a normal tourist community. We are open year round, but we also have so many people visiting. And so we offer a boutique hotel and fine dining in our downtown, but we also have our pubs and dive bars and diners. And so you really can have something of anything, whatever you're looking for, whether you're living here or just on vacation.
All right, we've reached the point for our second break. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Biz Talk with Score. This week we're talking to Mandy Kimes from the Ripon Chamber of Commerce. Before we get back to Mandy, I have a couple updates to give you on education. So as per usual, if you go to our website at score.org/Fox Cities, you'll see a workshop and events tab up in the top center of the page. If you click on that, you're going to get access to hundreds of different recorded webinars or live events or extended courses that you can take. And I just want to mention 3 that are coming up. These will always be live events, or these 3 will be live events, and then later on they'll be available recorded. But the 3 I wanted to mention are around marketing and sales, and just an area that a lot of new businesses struggle with. And so there's 3 opportunities here. One of them is called Managing Sales for Your Business. So what is sales in the department and how you manage it? So that's April 4th at 11 o'clock. The next one is E-Commerce Made Easy, Selling Online. And that's April 9th at 6 p.m. And so an opportunity to learn more about e-commerce. And then the third one is Differences in Sales versus Marketing. And that's on April 11th at 9. And so people put sales and marketing together a lot. They're significantly different activities. And this is an opportunity to understand the difference between the two, because you can have a really good sales experience, but a really lousy marketing experience. You need to learn how to put the two together and make it work. So again, go to score.org/Fox Cities and click on workshop events and tabs, and you'll find those along with many other live events coming up. Okay, with that, we're going to turn back to Mandy now. And Mandy, I want to talk a little bit more about downtown. It is a really, really nice area for both people who live in this area, but people coming in. Can you talk about how the chamber helps to build the downtown and keep that environment the way you want it?
Yeah, definitely. It was in the early 2000s that Ripon experienced a really hard economic turn down. I don't know if that's the right word, but we had a developer come in and buy up a lot of our downtown businesses, and eventually a lot of them, we thought were going to become amazing new things, and they eventually went bankrupt, and it was a ghost town, honestly. And so I think it's really cool for those of us who've seen the transformation happen, because it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen with just a chamber, or we're thankful to be a Main Street program. So we do have we're part of a national downtown program that has really provided resources, but it really takes a lot of people. A lot of the city is on board. We had an angel investor who has had an amazing experience living in Ripon and wanted to give back. And so many of our buildings have been renovated and transformed because of all those different things. And so as a chamber, one of our big roles now is to just keep promoting our downtown. It is one of our biggest tourism assets. Everyone comes here for the unique shopping and really the special kind of relationship and interaction you can have in our downtown shops. It's just so different than going anywhere else. And, it's not your Walmart. It's not your bigger chains. It's just something special. So we promote all of our downtown businesses and their events. We work alongside the Main Street organization. They're in the same building as us. And so we know that what's good and happens in downtown is good for Ripon. We right now have starting a business workshop, and it's really important for rural communities to partner with the larger chambers and just entities out there. And so our county has a program called the Ignite Network, which takes SCORE and SBDC and all these different WIDIC, is that how you say it? WIDIC, and Envision Greater Fond du Lac. Yeah. And they all come together and they just share their resources, their goals. And so, having, recorded webinars, having people who will mentor you are really the ways that we can get the help that these business owners, they're so brave. They're so courageous to start their own business, but we really want to see them succeed. And so we've seen a lot of our downtown businesses kind of get past that 7-year mark, where a lot of downtown and first-time business owners don't last that long. And so we're excited to see that they're staying here, they're doing well. And honestly, one of our biggest important things is just to be available to them when they're struggling. If they have a need, we are ready to answer the call and point them to the right direction. And so I love it, and I love our downtown community, and I love that our office is right here located in the downtown.
And one of the things I really like about Ripon is the variety of people or stores, that are there, and businesses that are there. So you have the Knuth, you've got Aquafar, indoor farming, which is an incredible business in Ernesi, and then all the different shops and some really good restaurants. I know there's the barbecue place and a few others, and a lot of things that surprise people if you go to Ripon. So it's really good to see.
Definitely.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the other side of chamber and more around the industrial side. So again, you're in more of a tourism area, but Ripon has some industry. How important is it for you to have that industry in the area, and how do you work with them?
It's incredibly important. When we find out that, 1,500 people are employed at Alliance Laundry Systems, we know we need them to be here and to stay here. And they're sending things all over the world. They have locations all over the world. They're sending their machines all over the world. And it's so cool that our residents who live here, and really they pull from many of the smaller surrounding areas. And so when you think about the larger manufacturing and how it's, improving any community, it's not just Ripon. It's Ripon and Brandon and Watoma. And so we really, it's important for us to meet with with those employers, those larger manufacturing, they often tell us the main thing that they need is for us to just keep making Ripon a place that people want to live. And so that quality of life, that like community sense of belonging, even just like different events, like when we have our big Dickens of a Christmas event, it allows those big companies to kind of show that they're part of the community by sponsoring, but it also provides their employees a chance to really feel proud and glad that they live in Ripon. And then the other thing that we do a lot for those larger manufacturing companies is we pay attention to their needs, like housing and childcare. And so we know that by doing a housing study, our city just did one, we can tell that we're very behind in having available units for people. And so we're actively looking for ways to find more housing, because we can't, they all need more work. They all need more employees. They're at least 50 employees short almost all the time. And so if they don't have places for their employees to live, how can we, keep them here? And so those conversations are continually happening, and just keeping our eyes open and working hard behind the scenes to really make it possible for them to keep thriving here in Ripon is a very important part of what we do.
Okay. And what I know you have Alliance, you mentioned them. What other companies do you have there?
Yeah, so you might have heard that we used to have Ripon Good Cookies, and Ripon, we're known for that. People are like, oh, how's the cookies? And we say, well, they were good, but they're not here anymore. And so that has transformed into Signature Wafers, and they are still a chocolate and cookie wafer making place. They're actually investing like millions of dollars into their infrastructure. And so we still have them here. We have a pickle factory here. We have Walsworth that does a ton of printing here. There's just, all around our area, there's Seneca, there's Generac, and even if they're not right here in Ripon, their employees are here. And so there's quite an industrial park, and it's really cool because we're even on the railroad, so people can use the train system to ship things out, and flash trucking's coming here. And so we're keeping up with the manufacturing in our industrial park.
Okay, so let's switch now to some of the fun stuff you do. Well, it may not be as fun for you because you organize it, but it's still the fun stuff. But the community events and activities, there's two in particular Ripon is well known for, but there are other activities too. Can you talk about those events, the Dickens Christmas and your community event coming up, the 175th anniversary?
Definitely. So Dickens of a Christmas has existed for over 30 years. I think this year's 34 years. And it's really based on, the Christmas Carol and the story that really demonstrates generosity, charity, the importance of community. And so our entire community is involved in it. There's a parade. One of my favorite parts is that we get living actors in the windows of our downtown shops to act out different scenes depending on whatever the theme is. And so sometimes they're acting out Christmas movies. Sometimes this last year was Christmas carols. But it's really the most beautiful small town postcard moment you can imagine. We had the Christmas ghosts walking around in character, and it's just such a fun time. And so I definitely encourage people to come out the first weekend in December 6th through 7th, and see the magic, because it feels magical. And this last year it just started snowing lightly. It was unbelievable. But this year is also our 175th anniversary. And so we're going to be doing a big chamber celebration event where we'll be highlighting all of the business history here. We'll have some really cool before and after pictures from 100 years ago and now, but we'll also be having, it's a carnival theme. And so there's just going to be so many things happening there, and tickets are on sale on our website. And so we're excited to celebrate 175 years and just all the achievements that Ripon has had in the last year.
Okay. So what other types of events do you support?
Yeah, so we have all kinds of stuff that happen in our downtown. Every Friday night, we have concerts on our village green, and those are very popular. We often have thousands of people coming. We had Hinder come here last year, which I think they're kind of too heavy rock and roll for me, but hundreds and hundreds of people wanted to see Hinder. And so if it's free to come every Friday night, and we have everything from small bluegrass bands to a big national band. And so I definitely encourage people to come out for that. We have, historic events like Scoop the Loop, with, old antique cars. We have wine walks that sell out within 4 days. And so, yeah, I definitely encourage people just get on our Main Street or Chamber websites and Facebook pages and check out the events that are coming up because they're so much fun.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit now about how you support training and development for your members. What are some of the activities that you have for them?
Great question. Every month we offer a workshop that is available not just to our members, but really anyone can come. And we invite people within the Ripon area, but also Green Lake and our surrounding communities. And so we cover topics that are really pertinent to their development or really hot topic ones like AI or cybersecurity. And so that's a partnership that the Green Lake Chamber and the Ripon Chamber have right now. But we also are pointing them to other resources. There are so many digital marketing clinics that are available, the mentoring, the pre-recorded webinars. SBDC has a huge catalog. So any topic that people are struggling with, we make sure they know how to get access to those resources. And it's incredible what you can learn just by, taking a time to listen to a workshop. So, we make sure to ask people what they're struggling with and what they need help to learn. And we bring those topics right to them.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about the work you do with other chambers, because we know in the area you're in, there's other chambers very close by, Green Lake and Berlin and Princeton, et cetera. How do you work together as a group of chambers to promote industry and tourism in the area?
It is definitely important for us to work with the chambers around us. We are very big on sharing resources and just helping each other out. In our region, there are actually a lot of communities that don't have the kind of chamber or chamber staff that we have in Ripon or in Green Lake. And so right now we have a group that is the Green Lake Country Visitors Bureau, and it's a regional effort to really promote our entire region. And so we meet every month and we have different goals that we're working on to really attract people to our entire area, knowing that when there's not that much distance between our communities. And when people come here, they often hop around. And so it's really important to be willing to work together. And I'm really glad that we can support some of those communities that don't have a chamber or don't have a Main Street program and give them some of the resources that they're missing out on at times.
Okay. So let's talk now a little bit more about the state of business today in Ripon. Last time I was at Ripon around Christmas, it seemed very busy and doing very well. But let's talk about the business itself in Ripon. First of all, you mentioned before it's still an issue finding employees sometime. How is that going now?
Yes, it is a continual problem. And coming up in April, there's going to be a Hire Me Now event. Green Lake Chamber is the one that's really coordinating it, but it's allowing employers from all over our region and people looking for jobs to come. We do focus during the day on the high school students, so they can come and learn about all the opportunities there. But in the evening, it's open for adults as well. But we've really learned that a lot of people don't go to job fairs anymore. And so helping find unique ways to promote when there are job openings and really help the businesses know what they need to do to attract the right kind of employees. It can be a challenge for sure. And so we're constantly working with them to find new ways and really work with our younger students, whether they're high school or college, to help them see that there's a lot in this area that they can do for work and careers. So many of our professionals actually started their jobs here when they were 17 or 18, and now they own the foundry or they own the pharmacy. And so we want to help people see that they can stay here in Ripon and they don't have to go far, far away.
Okay. So when you talk to chamber members today, is employment still one of their biggest concerns, or what issues are they thinking about right now?
Yeah, that's probably the most common question or concern they bring up. Our larger employers have mentioned that they're at least 50 employees below what they're looking for. And then they bring up things like housing, and they bring up things like childcare and the cost of childcare. Right now, if you call one of our our big daycares here in town, they tell you that they are not accepting any new applications until 2025. And so, when we don't have a lot of licensed daycares here in Ripon. And so even helping, some of them at the at-home daycares to think about becoming licensed so they can serve more children is a huge asset, because right now there's so many people that would be in the workforce if they had affordable childcare. So we're always listening to these different issues and seeing what are the things we can do, what's happening in our county. Fond du Lac County, we're right on the edge here. We're right by Green Lake, right by Fond du Lac, but we really try to stay connected to those resources as well.
Okay. And lastly, before we head into our last break, what are you thinking about for the future of the chamber and how you work with the business community in Ripon?
Yeah, I think one thing we're definitely thinking about is that we just acquired a building right on Highway 23, and it's right next to the Little White Schoolhouse, and it's going to be part of the Little White Schoolhouse as like a visitor center, a place for displays and events. But we also see it as an opportunity to have a place where people can stop in to get brochures and flyers and learn what they can do in our area. And so we want to help our visitors know what they can do and where they can go. And we think that will be important, because honestly, with our stadium, with Knuth, like, we're just getting more and more unique visitors to Ripon every month. And we know, we have to be ready to keep up with the new people arriving.
Okay, we're going to take our last break. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score and WHBY, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Biz Talk. I'd like to thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. And before we get started and continue our conversation with Mandy, I'd like to thank our sponsors who bring Biz Talk to you each weekend. We couldn't present Biz Talk without their generous support. Thank you to Hailing & Associates. Hailing & Associates helps small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but plan for taxes, helping to minimize taxes for this year and beyond. Hailing & Associates, personal connection, positive results. And a special thank you to the Business News for promoting our program in the biweekly business newspaper servicing Northeast Wisconsin. If you aren't already subscribing to the Business News, you should. The paper is delivered biweekly and contains relevant and useful information about the business community in Northeast Wisconsin. And you'll be hearing more about this in another month or so, but we also want to thank the Community Foundation of Appleton. They are going to be sponsoring us as well, and we're working with them to get everything set up over the next month, and we'll let you know more about that as it happens. So thank you to them. Now we'll turn back to Mandy. And Mandy, could you let our listeners know how they can contact you at the Chamber or find out more information about the Chamber?
Definitely. Our website has all of our contact information. It's just www.ripon-wi.com. You can call us. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We're definitely the chamber that's available and happy to meet with you. And so if you have questions or ideas, I'm a very collaborative person. And so I love to share information and hear from everyone, just to keep learning.
Okay. So as we wrap up the show, there's a couple things we did want to make sure we covered. And one of them is we talked about kind of the digital transformation that happens a little bit. We had mentioned that earlier. Can you talk about what the Chamber is doing in the community app that you're introducing?
Definitely. Yeah. We're moving away from, paper and just the old ways of doing things. And so, people download apps when they travel, especially more than ever. But another issue is that a lot of times in communities, the community members don't know the information. They don't know where to look or how to find it. And so creating an app for your community really it's kind of like a Yellow Pages, but easier and prettier and able to be edited anytime. And so we love how, flexible it is. We love using it for events and even scavenger hunts, but it's a great way to see all of your options when it comes to dining or even different services that we provide in Ripon. If you want to get your car fixed, you can look at all the different, places to get your car fixed. So it's a really helpful app. It's just called Experience Ripon. and it's downloadable in any of your app stores.
Okay. And the other thing we wanted to mention a little bit more about is the 175th anniversary event coming up. Could you tell people where they could find out more about it, where it'll be, and the date?
Yeah, so this is like our chamber annual dinner, and we're celebrating our 175th anniversary. So we're modeling it after an event that took place in the early 1900s. It was the Ripon Street Fair. And so it was all about showcasing the best of Ripon, celebrating its successes, and then looking towards the future. And that's what we'll be doing on May 22nd, 5 p.m. at Vines and Rushes. And so obviously we're inviting all of our members and their employees, their friends, but really it's open to anybody that wants to hear how Ripon is doing and where Ripon is headed. And tickets can be found on our website, and there's a Facebook page for it as well. So definitely come if you're ready to learn all the beautiful history of Ripon, and it's going to be a really fun time. Lots of performers and games, and it's definitely not going to be a boring night.
All right. First, Mandy, thank you very much for being on the show. It's obvious as you talk the enthusiasm you have for Ripon and how much you love it there, and we really appreciate you coming on and telling us about the community. And for those of you who haven't been there, it's really worth a trip. There's a lot of stuff to do in Ripon. There's really good restaurants. There's nice stores. There's nice things to see. And there's some pretty interesting businesses. Again, I love the indoor agriculture business. I think Knuth Brewing does a really good job. But there's other places there that I've been in and don't remember the name of as much, but they are very good. So strongly recommend it. And for everybody who listened to this show, if you want to hear it again, in a few weeks, we'll have a copy of this episode on our website, which is biztalkwithscore.com. And there you'll find about the last 6 years of shows, and you can re-listen to them at any time. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been great to have you here, and talk to you again next week. Bye.